I get this message that the Travel Channel is interested in me, and I'm flattered. I travel a lot.
Hmm.
I do movies all over the world and
Yep.
film festivals and Comic Cons, and my wife and I've been doing it so long and worked in so many countries that I put a heads and tails on a lot of my trips now. And I figured maybe they'd heard that I was a reasonably well traveled guy. And they had this idea, uh, the producers, one of whom had been a big fan as a child.
Hmm.
He'd been a big fan of that old series, Unsolved Mysteries.
Yep. Great show.
And it was really important to him, and he really relied on it as a child or as a young adolescent. He loved the show. He learned a lot. He was addicted to it, and he'd also been a huge fan. He was sort of maybe third generation fan. Probably got hooked on in one of those Thanksgiving marathons of Twilight Zone,
Hmm.
and so he wanted to combine a bit of the Rod Serling hosting, or sort of the heads and tails, the bookending of Twilight Zone episode
Hmm.
with the Robert Stack hosting of Unsolved Mysteries. And they thought of me because I bring a lot of baggage, having done a lot of horror movies and science fiction and fantasy films. I've aged a lot, and I have a little bit of
No.
a kind of road company Vincent Price going on,
Hmm.
in my persona, a little bit of Klaus Kinski, and they would give me a little bit of that Rod Serling rhythm in some of my outs and some of my wrap ups
Hmm.
show. And I really liked the idea but the thing that really attracted me, besides the challenge of combining narration and on camera hosting, was the fact that all of these stories, some are true, absolutely true, terror.
Yep.
There's one tonight that's absolutely true, and it's very reminiscent of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. But
Hmm.
but part of it is that there's a historical distance that we have, and
Yeah.
that historical distance, it gives us an insight, a look into what Americans believe. We were more superstitious, we were less sophisticated, science wasn't as advanced, medicine wasn't advanced, but all of these stories were articles from newspapers
Hmm.
in America.
Having you at the front of it now makes it even get it out to even bigger masses. But for when you were doing this season, was there a specific tale that you found most interesting or piqued your interest or made you maybe want to go there?
Well, I think there's two that are true. Well,
Mm.
I want to go to all of them. There's some guys working for the Travel Channel on other shows, and they're on the road a lot. I'm in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they'll let me go on the road with them if we do another season. I know I'd
Ah.
love to be holding an old Civil War sword after
Mm.
we do something about a ghost at Gettysburg,
Yeah.
or I love Buried Alive,
Mhm.
the smallpox epidemic episode. Not just because of what's happening now, but I liked it before. I mean,
Right.
I had a chip on my shoulder about how good the makeup was going to be, and I love the makeup. But it's also that we really respond to that episode because it's a primal fear, being
Yeah.
buried alive. It's like falling, drowning, suffocating. It's one of those primal nightmares that we all have. So it really works on a lot of levels, and it's true that happened. But I love the kind of American evil corruption that is sort of hinted at in that. I mean, maybe a doctor made a mistake because we were not as advanced medically, but obviously, maybe the coffin maker, the guy that drives the hearse, the charity wagon to the graveyard, the grave digger, those guys were in cahoots. They were getting paid per capita by the head. The challenge in True Terror for me was I've got the baggage of being Robert Englund horror guy.
Yeah.
So I'm getting older now, and I've got the gray beard, and I'm starting to look a little like a cross between Klaus Kinski, Vincent Price, and Max von Sydow. So I've got the face. I'm playing a lot of old doctors and old priests and old poachers and old professors and stuff now. So I know how to bring that into it, but then I have to do the blend the blend back to the narration.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to be conversational, matter of fact. I'm just telling you facts and places and dates. Sometimes I'm telling you backstory. Sometimes I'm matching an image that my crew has shot that I haven't seen, and it might be really dark. I use the guy, the guy that hosts Dateline has that great way of kind of questioning people, and also he has that great way of questioning the reality of the sequence he's involved with, or being conversational. He can do that turn really quickly, or he's just asking a question just like this. He's just real matter of fact, like, well, what do you think? I mean, there was no DNA evidence, and there's a time and a place for me to be like that, and there's a time for me to be, it was a dark night in 1858.
Oh, which is good.
Ezekiel Hawkins had gone lame on a covered bridge somewhere in Maine. So you have to find those places and do those blends and those shifts.
Yeah.